In the heart of occupied Paris, beneath the glittering facade of haute couture, a legendary fashion icon weaves her most dangerous web of seduction and betrayal. What deadly bargains did Coco Chanel make to protect her empire? The year is 1940. German jackboots echo through the cobblestone streets of Paris as the Nazi regime tightens its grip on the City of Light. While most Parisians cower in fear, one woman sees opportunity where others see occupation. Gabrielle Coco Chanel, the revolutionary designer who liberated women from corsets, now prepares to liberate herself from business rivals through the most controversial alliance of her career. Chanel's empire sits precariously balanced on the edge of ruin. Her most profitable venture, the iconic Chanel No. 5 perfume, remains largely controlled by the Wertheimer family, Jewish businessmen who own 70% of the fragrance company. For years, Chanel has seethed over this arrangement, feeling cheated out of the fortune her creation deserves. Now, with anti-Jewish laws sweeping through Nazi-occupied France, she glimpses a path to reclaim what she believes is rightfully hers. The femme fatale doesn't wage war with weapons or armies. She conquers through whispered conversations in dimly lit cafes, through carefully orchestrated encounters that seem like chance meetings. Chanel understands that in wartime, information becomes currency, and relationships transform into weapons more powerful than any blade. Her first target is Baron Hans Günther von Dinklage, a German intelligence officer whose aristocratic charm masks his role as a Nazi spy. Tall, sophisticated, and devastatingly handsome, Dinklage represents everything Chanel needs: access to Nazi power structures and protection from the chaos engulfing Paris. Their affair begins as a calculated move on both sides, but passion and politics intertwine in ways that will haunt them both. Through Dinklage, Chanel gains entry to the highest echelons of Nazi society in Paris. She attends glittering parties at the Ritz Hotel, where German officers mingle with French collaborators, creating an atmosphere of surreal normalcy amid the occupation. Here, she deploys her greatest weapons, her legendary wit, her magnetic presence, and her ability to make powerful men believe they're the ones controlling the game. Chanel's strategy unfolds with surgical precision. She approaches Nazi officials with a proposition wrapped in patriotic rhetoric. The Jewish-owned businesses, she argues, should be transferred to loyal French citizens who understand the true spirit of France. She presents herself not as an opportunist, but as a patriot seeking to preserve French cultural heritage from foreign influence. The Nazi regime's anti-Jewish policies provide the perfect legal framework for Chanel's scheme. Under the Vichy government's Aryanization laws, Jewish-owned businesses face mandatory transfer to non-Jewish ownership. Chanel positions herself as the ideal candidate to assume control of her perfume empire, arguing that she, as the original creator, deserves to reclaim her life's work. But the Wertheimers prove more cunning than Chanel anticipates. Pierre and Paul Wertheimer, sensing the approaching storm, execute a brilliant legal maneuver. They transfer their shares to a French businessman, Félix Amiot, creating a complex web of ownership that shields their interests from Nazi confiscation. When Chanel arrives to claim her prize, she discovers that her quarry has slipped through her carefully laid trap. Frustrated but undeterred, Chanel escalates her campaign. She files legal challenges, arguing that the Wertheimers' transfer is fraudulent and that she deserves compensation for years of allegedly unfair business arrangements. Her Nazi connections provide leverage, but the legal system proves surprisingly resilient to her charms. As the war progresses, Chanel's relationship with the occupation forces deepens beyond mere business calculation. She moves into the Ritz Hotel, living in luxury while ordinary Parisians struggle with rationing and fear. Her suite becomes a salon for Nazi officers and French collaborators, a place where champagne flows freely and dangerous secrets exchange hands like currency. The femme fatale's most audacious gambit comes in 1943 when she volunteers for a secret mission to Madrid. Operation Model Hut, or Model Hat, tasks Chanel with using her connections to British society to negotiate a separate peace between Germany and Britain. The mission represents the ultimate fusion of her personal ambitions with Nazi strategic goals, positioning her as a potential architect of European politics. Traveling to Madrid with her Nazi handlers, Chanel attempts to contact her old friend, Winston Churchill, through intermediaries. She believes her legendary charm can succeed where diplomats have failed, that her unique position as a French icon trusted by German intelligence makes her the perfect messenger for peace negotiations. The mission fails spectacularly. British intelligence, well aware of Chanel's Nazi connections, treats her overtures with suspicion and contempt. Her reputation as a collaborator precedes her, poisoning any possibility of serious diplomatic engagement. The woman who once revolutionized fashion discovers that some bridges, once burned, cannot be rebuilt through charm alone. As Allied forces approach Paris in 1944, Chanel's carefully constructed world begins to crumble. Dinklage flees the city, leaving her to face the consequences of their collaboration alone. The liberation of Paris brings not freedom for Chanel, but a reckoning with her wartime choices. French authorities arrest Chanel for collaboration, but her detention proves surprisingly brief. Within hours, she walks free, leading to persistent speculation about who intervened on her behalf. Some historians suggest Churchill himself, remembering their pre-war friendship, ordered her release. Others point to her intelligence value, arguing that Allied forces saw potential in turning a former Nazi collaborator into an asset. The Wertheimer brothers return to reclaim their business empire, finding Chanel legally vulnerable and socially disgraced. But in a twist that reveals the complex nature of post-war justice, they choose reconciliation over revenge. Recognizing that Chanel No. 5's success depends on its creator's reputation, they negotiate a new agreement that grants Chanel increased royalties while maintaining their control of the company. Chanel's perfume wars end not with victory or defeat, but with a pragmatic compromise that benefits all parties. The woman who sought to use Nazi power to reclaim her empire discovers that business success sometimes requires swallowing pride and accepting partnership with former enemies. In 1954, after years of exile and disgrace, Chanel attempts a comeback in the fashion world. Critics initially savage her return, viewing her as a relic of a shameful past. But her timeless designs gradually win over a new generation of women, proving that talent can survive even the most controversial associations. The femme fatale's legacy remains deeply complex, a reminder that charm and intelligence can serve both noble and ignoble purposes. Chanel's wartime collaboration reveals how personal ambition can override moral considerations, how the pursuit of business success can lead even brilliant minds down dark paths. Her story demonstrates that true power lies not in the ability to seduce or manipulate, but in the wisdom to choose when and how to exercise influence. The woman who liberated fashion became enslaved by her own ambitions, discovering that some victories cost more than defeat. Today, Chanel No. 5 remains one of the world's most iconic fragrances, its success built on a foundation of creativity, controversy, and compromise. The perfume wars of Paris remind us that behind every luxury product lies a human story of ambition, betrayal, and the eternal struggle between principle and profit. Coco Chanel once declared that luxury must be comfortable, otherwise, it's not luxury. Her wartime choices suggest she applied this philosophy beyond fashion, seeking comfort in power and protection even when it required uncomfortable moral compromises. The femme fatale's greatest seduction may have been convincing herself that survival justified any alliance, that business success excused any collaboration.